Up in the sky, fly above the span so high, they're opening the bridge today.
The 4 pylons of the Sydney Harbour Bridge were the last things to be built. They do rise above the road deck and they're not actually joined onto the steel arch at all. This pylon is the only one that's open to the public. We have got models of workers and they were actually made from photographs of the original workers. So you see how they actually looked and what sort of work they did, and you can imagine how difficult it was for them. We also have a copy here of the scissors that were used in the opening ceremony. One of the unique things that are here are 2 stained glass windows. They were done by an artist for us, for our exhibition, and they depict the different sorts of work that the workers were doing. Of course, here we also have the actual lookout at the top. And so once you've enjoyed the exhibition, you can step outside and get a view of all directions. When we came to 1988, which was our bicentenary celebrating European civilisation in Australia, they did realise that this would be a great place to use as a point of celebration. And each New Year's Eve on the 31st of December, they do have fireworks in the Sydney Harbour and also finishing off with fireworks on the Sydney Harbour Bridge. So we do see that the bridge becomes something that is very, very special to our city of Sydney, not just for transport, but for a way of making our city known to the world.
We often hear stories about native animals losing their natural habitat and becoming rare, especially in areas that are now big cities. Well, coming up after the break, we have a story about one Australian native that staged a brilliant comeback, practically in my backyard.
It has been the lifeblood of an entire province for centuries, fueling trade and culture. Thursday, take a journey along the fascinating Tea Road for more than 4,000 torturous kilometres to discover China's most ancient caravan route. From the heights of the Himalayas to deep within Tibetan culture, experience an unforgettable journey. Tea Road to the Skies, Thursday. Monday.
Wicked!
Lonely Planet Blue List Australia.
Here's our pick of the best.
Featuring the ultimate,
It's got a lot!
all-time greatest
The Crusher and the Cutter.
Aussie travel experiences.
You can see why they call it the Red Centre!
A goldmine of homegrown travel ideas.
This is my office.
Where to go, what to see, and what to do.
God, I love television!
Lonely Planet Blue List Australia, Monday.
This bird is the Australian brush turkey, technically known as Electura lathami. Interestingly, it belongs to one of the smallest families of birds in the whole of the bird world. You know, there's about 7,000 species of birds on the planet, and this family contains only 12 members of the family. They're called megapodes, meaning Bigfoot. The story of the brush turkey in southeast Queensland particularly is one of the most intriguing in natural history in this country, in European history of this country. By the 1950s, early 60s, the brush turkey in my city, I was born in Brisbane, in my city was incredibly rare. In fact, I didn't see one until I was 15 years of age because the backyard style in those days was very English, very European or very Mediterranean, you know. Everything was mown short. There was no canopy, there was no overhanging trees, there was no shade. It was It was really quite silly, actually. For a subtropical climate, we had the most ridiculous backyards. And so by the time we'd got to there, we had really reduced the preferred habitat of the brush turkey down to almost nil. And then in the late 60s, mid-60s, late 60s, something strange happened. You got this group called the Society for Growing Australian Plants. And these people were advocating that we make our backyards look a lot more like subtropical rainforest or wet sclerophyll rainforest, which was largely what Brisbane was all about. So as people changed the backyard, providing heaps of mulch, providing big shade trees, that and also sprinklers, you know, all that, this was a huge change in the turkey's life. The turkey was being handed back a facsimile of its preferred habitat. And of course, it responded.